My name is Kristen Pruitt. I'm 28 years old. But the day my father looked me dead in the eye and said, 40% of every paycheck, or find somewhere else to live, was the moment my own family started stealing my future. That was November 15th, 2024. My mother scoffed when I asked if it was fair. Privileges aren't free, Kristen. My brother Evan sat right there on the couch playing PlayStation, paying nothing. I paid $2,890 every single month, for 14 months straight. I canceled my gym membership. I skipped my therapy sessions. I gave up any chance at my own apartment. I worked 50-hour weeks while Evan ordered DoorDash every night and posted Instagram stories from ski trips with his friends. They told me it was rent. They told me it was helping the family. They told me Evan was trying so hard and needed our support. I believed them. For 14 months, I handed over 40% of everything I earned, $40,462 total. I thought I was being the responsible daughter. I thought that's what family does. They thought I'd never find out where that money really went. They were wrong. If this story already has you angry for me, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from right now. It really helps these kinds of stories reach more people. Now let me take you back to how it all started, and how everything exploded at my brother's housewarming party. It was a Sunday, November 10th, 2024, 5 days before that first payment was due. My parents asked me to come to dinner. Nothing unusual about that. I'd been going to Sunday dinners at their place in Matthews since I moved out 3 years ago. But when I walked in that evening, I knew something was different. Dad was sitting at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd done homework as a kid, where we'd had birthday dinners and Thanksgiving meals. Now it looked like a boardroom. Mom stood by the counter, arms crossed. Evan was in the den, controller in hand, feet up on the ottoman. I could hear gunfire from his game through the doorway. "Sit down, Kristen," Dad said. He slid a piece of paper across the table toward me. It had a clip art header that said Pruitt Family Agreement, and my father's HP printer had left streaks across the margins. I sat. I read. My stomach dropped. "You're 28, Kristen," Dad said. His voice was calm, businesslike. "Your mother and I spent 22 years raising you. College alone cost us $85,000. This isn't rent, it's repayment. 3 years at $2,890 per month equals $104,040. After that, your debt to us is cleared." I stared at the number circled in red pen. $2,890, due on the 15th of every month. Mom added, "We didn't charge you a dime until you were 26. That's 2 years of generosity, sweetheart. Now we need you to step up and honor your obligations." I looked at the paper, then at them. Then through the doorway where Evan was very clearly visible, bag of Doritos on his lap, not even glancing our way. "What about Evan?" I asked. Mom's jaw tightened, just slightly. "Evan's situation is different. He's building a business. He can't afford this right now." Different. Always different. But I started. "You have a stable job," Dad interrupted. "Staff accountant at a good firm. You make decent money. Evan's freelancing. It's inconsistent. He needs support while he gets on his feet." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say that I was 28 and living in a one-bedroom apartment with my roommate, Vanessa, splitting $950 rent, trying to save for my own place. That I made $7,225 a month before taxes, $5,100 after. That 40% of my gross income was insane. But I didn't. Because they'd raised me to be responsible, to not make waves, to do what family does. "Do I have a choice?" I asked. Dad's expression didn't change. "You have until the 15th. If you're not willing to honor this agreement, we'll need to discuss whether you're still part of this family. I hadn't lived there in 3 years, but the threat was clear. I took the paper home that night. I showed it to Vanessa. She sat across from me at our tiny kitchen table and stared at it for a long time. They want you to pay them almost $3,000 a month, she said slowly, for raising you. Debt repayment, I corrected, though the words felt wrong in my mouth. Kristen, you don't live there. I know. This is. She stopped. Started again. Is this normal? I didn't know. I sent a text to my friend Sarah from college. Her parents had helped her buy a car. Another friend, Amanda, got money from her parents for her wedding. Everyone's family was different. Maybe mine was just transactional. November 15th arrived. I was sitting in my car outside my office building at 11:52 a.m. lunch break. My paycheck had just deposited $5,106.23. I opened the Wells Fargo app on my phone, set up a Zelle transfer, $2,890 to Daniel Pruitt. In the note field, I typed, November repayment. I stared at the screen for 30 seconds. Then I hit send. The notification came through immediately. Zelle payment sent, $2,890 to Daniel Pruitt. Your available balance, $2,216.23. I had a PB&J sandwich in my bag. Homemade. 80 cents worth of ingredients. I usually got Panera for lunch. $12.50 for a soup and half sandwich. Not anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Received. Thank you for honoring your obligations, sweetheart. Family takes care of family. The heart emoji. It should have felt warm. It felt like a signature on a contract. That was month 1. Month 2 was December. I paid on the 15th again. Same amount. Same note. Same heart emoji response from Mom. Christmas came. I budgeted $50 total for gifts. The year before, I'd spent $300. Month 3 was January 2025. I got a renewal notice from Planet Fitness. $65 a month. I'd had that membership for 4 years. Knew the front desk staff by name. Used the treadmills every morning before work. I canceled it. I'll just run outside, I told Vanessa. Charlotte in January meant 38-degree mornings. I ran anyway, in the dark, before my 8 a.m. shift at the accounting firm. My route took me past Sky House South, one of those new luxury apartments in South End. I'd looked at a unit there once. $1,950 a month. Too expensive then. Impossible now. That same day, Evan posted an Instagram story, a check-in at LA Fitness Premium, the kind with the nice locker rooms and towel service, $89 a month. I screenshot it. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Vanessa noticed I'd quit the gym. Budget stuff, I said. I didn't tell her about the $2,890. Too embarrassed. Month 6 was February. I'd been seeing Dr. Lauren Winters, my therapist, every week since my bad breakup 2 years ago. $120 per session. I'd worked through a lot in that office in the Morrocroft area. Trust issues, family dynamics, self-worth. She noticed immediately when I cut back to once a month. Everything okay financially? She asked gently. I forced a smile. Just budgeting better. 4 sessions a month down to 1 meant $360 saved. Still not enough to offset the $2,890, but I couldn't afford both. The topics I'd been processing, resentment toward my parents, feeling like the scapegoat compared to Evan, those got shelved. No time to deal with them between monthly appointments. That week, Evan posted a photo from a steakhouse. Ruth's Chris. Treating myself was the caption. $80 per person, minimum. Month 9 was June. I'd been looking at apartments online for months, dreaming, really. I was 28. I wanted my own place. Not that I didn't love Vanessa. She was great, but I wanted space that was mine. I toured 3 apartments that month. First was Park Avenue Lofts in Dilworth. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 820 square feet. Hardwood floors, balcony with a park view. $1,850 a month. Beautiful, right? The realtor said, gesturing to the walk-in closet. You'd love it here. I did the math in my head. $1,850 rent plus the $2,890 to my parents equaled $4,740 monthly, on $5,100 net income. That left me $360 for everything else. Car insurance, gas, groceries, phone, utilities. Impossible. I need to think about it, I said. Second was the Oxford. $1,625 a month. Smaller. Still too expensive. Third was Sky House South, the one I ran past every morning. $1,950. I didn't even finish the tour. I drove past Sky House afterward and saw a young couple moving in, laughing, carrying IKEA boxes. They looked my age, maybe younger. I sat in my 2016 Corolla with 112,000 miles and a check engine light that had been on since March, and I tried not to cry. I made good money. I was a staff accountant with 3 years of experience, and I couldn't afford a 1-bedroom apartment because every month, $2,890 disappeared into my parents' account. Month 12 was November 2025, exactly 1 year since the agreement. I sent payment number 12 at 11:52 a.m. Same parking spot at work. Same routine. Total paid so far, $34,680. My savings account balance, $3,100. In 1 year, despite working 50-hour weeks, despite cutting everything I could, I'd saved $380. That's it. Evan posted an Instagram story that day. Year of growth and gratitude. The photo showed him at a ski resort in Boone, North Carolina. A weekend trip like that cost at least $400. I sat in my car and I opened my banking app and I scrolled through the transaction history. 12 identical payments, all to Daniel Pruitt, all marked repayment. I screenshot the whole screen. I didn't know why. My accountant brain just said, document everything. Something felt wrong. I couldn't articulate it yet. But the numbers didn't make sense. Evan hadn't worked a real job since March 2024. His LinkedIn said freelance marketing consultant, which as far as I could tell, meant he posted on Instagram and called it content creation. Mom said he made about $2,500 a month. Some months, nothing. Where was his money coming from? Month 14 was December 15th, 2025. I sent the payment like a robot. No emotion left. Just routine. The notification came through. Zelle payment sent. $2,890 to Daniel Pruitt. Total sent to this recipient in 2024 to 2025. $40,462. I stared at that number. $40,462. My savings, $3,200. Barely grown despite 14 months of sacrifice. Mom texted, "Thank you, honey. 2 more years and you're clear." 2 more years would be $69,360 more, a total of $104,040, just like the agreement said. I was halfway through a 3-year debt I'd never agreed I owed. That night, Vanessa asked me if I wanted to go out for drinks with some friends from her work. I can't afford it, I said. She looked at me, really looked at me. Kristen, what's going on? You've been so stressed lately. I almost told her. Almost explained the whole thing. But shame stopped me. How do you explain to someone that you're paying your parents almost $3,000 a month to repay them for your childhood? Just work stuff, I said. She didn't believe me, but she let it go. 3 weeks later, everything changed. January 8th, 2026. Wednesday night. Family dinner at my parents' house. Dad was grilling steaks on the back patio. That was his special occasion protocol. He only fired up the grill for birthdays, holidays, or major announcements. I walked into the kitchen and smelled the charcoal, and my stomach dropped. Something was happening. Mom was setting the table. Good plates, cloth napkins. Evan arrived late, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Sorry, he said, breezing past me. Traffic was crazy. We sat down. Dad served the steaks, medium rare, just like always. I was cutting into mine when Evan cleared his throat. So, he said, I have some news, big news. Mom clasped her hands together. She already knew. I could tell. I'm closing on a house next Wednesday. I stopped chewing. Mom gasped, actual tears in her eyes. Evan? A house? Dad stood up and hugged him. Son, that's incredible. I set down my fork. You're buying a house? Yeah. Evan was practically bouncing in his chair. 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, Ballantine area. It's beautiful. $425,000. The room tilted slightly. $425,000. How? I started, then stopped myself. How did I afford it? Evan laughed. I've been saving, Chris. You know, being smart with my freelance income, living below my means. I looked at him. Really looked at him. His iPhone 16 Pro was sitting on the table. Latest model. $1,200. He'd posted Instagram stories from 3 weekend trips in the past 4 months. His freelance income was maybe $2,500 a month on good months, 0 on bad months. I did the math automatically. It's what I do. I'm an accountant. 18 months of freelance work, even at perfect saving with 0 expenses, maybe netted $45,000 gross, minus taxes, maybe $31,500, minus living expenses. Even if he was eating at my parents' house 4 times a week, he still had rent somewhere, car insurance, phone bill. That's at least $1,800 a month. So $31,500 minus $32,400 equals negative. He couldn't have saved anything. Mathematically impossible. And he just said he bought a $425,000 house. Minimum down payment for a conventional loan, 7%. That's $29,750. More realistically, 10%. That's $42,500. My mind went to a very specific number, the one I'd seen on my phone 3 weeks ago. $40,462. No, it couldn't be. That's amazing, Evan, I heard myself say. My voice sounded far away. Dad raised his glass of wine, the 2019 Cabernet he saved for celebrations, to Evan, proof that perseverance and smart financial planning pay off. This is what discipline looks like. This is what I tried to teach both of you. Both of you. The words hit like a slap. I'd worked 50-hour weeks for 3 years straight. I'd paid $2,890 every single month for 14 months. I'd cut my gym, my therapy, my social life, my savings, my future. And my father was toasting Evan's discipline. I lifted my glass. My hand was shaking. Congratulations, I said. Mom noticed. Kristen, aren't you happy for your brother? I smiled. It didn't reach my eyes. Of course. I left as soon as I could. Drove home in silence. Walked into the apartment and Vanessa was on the couch watching Netflix. How was dinner? She asked. Evan bought a house, I said. She looked up. What? How? Good question. I went to my room, closed the door, sat on my bed, opened my laptop, typed into Google 4832 Redbridge Lane, Ballantyne, Charlotte, NC. Zillow loaded. Sold. May 18th, 2025. Price $425,000. Beds 4. Baths 2.5 square feet. 2,350 days on market. May 18th. That was payment number 7. By then, I'd sent $20,230 to my parents. I screenshot the listing. The estimated down payment showed at the bottom, $42,500 for a conventional 10% down loan. I opened my banking app, scrolled to the transaction history, counted. 14 payments, $2,890 each. Total, $40,462. I screenshot that too. Then I just sat there, staring at both images side by side on my phone. $40,462 paid. $42,500 estimated down payment. Difference, $2,038. Close. Too close. It was past midnight when I finally tried to sleep. I couldn't. My brain wouldn't stop doing the math, testing the hypothesis, finding the holes. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Evan had savings I didn't know about. Maybe he'd sold something. Maybe, but I couldn't stop thinking about Mom's text messages. Family takes care of family. About Dad's toast tonight. Both of you. About the agreement that said I owed them $104,040 for raising me, while Evan paid nothing because his situation was different. At 2:53 a.m., I gave up on sleep. Opened my laptop again. This time I searched Mecklenburg County NC property records, found the Register of Deeds website, free public access, typed in Evan Michael Pruitt. One result. I clicked it. The PDF loaded. 8 pages. Deed of trust dated May 18th, 2025. I scrolled to page 3. Grantor. Evan Michael Pruitt property. 4832 Redbridge Lane, Charlotte, NC. 28277. Purchase price, $425,000. Down payment, $40,000. Source, family gift. Co-signers, Daniel Lawrence Pruitt, Catherine Ann Pruitt. I read that line 3 times. Family gift, $40,000. My parents had co-signed his mortgage. That's how he qualified with his inconsistent freelance income. And the down payment was $40,000. I'd paid them $40,462. The math was perfect. Horrifyingly perfect. I screenshot the deed, added it to the folder with my banking records and the Zillow listing. Then I texted Vanessa, even though she was asleep in the next room. Can you come here? I need to talk. 3 minutes later, she was sitting on my bed in her pajamas, looking at my laptop screen. Wait, she said slowly. You've been paying your parents almost $3,000 a month. Debt repayment, I said, for raising me. That's... She stopped. Kristen, that's not normal. I know, but look. I showed her the property deed. Evan just bought a house. The down payment was $40,000 from a family gift. I've paid them $40,462. Vanessa's eyes went wide. You think? I don't know what I think. That's why I'm showing you. Tell me I'm crazy. She scrolled through the screenshots. Bank statements, property records, timeline. You're not crazy, she said quietly. Kristen, where did Evan get the money? You said he barely makes $2,500 a month freelancing. On good months. And he just bought a $400,000 house. Yeah. Where did he get $30,000 to $40,000 for a down payment? The question hung in the air between us. I already knew the answer. I just didn't want to say it out loud. Vanessa said it for me. Kristen, You've paid them $40,462. The down payment was $40,000. 5 seconds of silence. Then 10. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. They wouldn't do that to me. Vanessa looked at me with so much pity I had to look away. I think you need to check, she said. The next morning, I called Wells Fargo customer service on my lunch break. Hi, I sent money to someone for 14 months, and I need to verify some transaction details, I said, trying to sound calm and professional. Is there any way to see what account the recipient deposited my payments into, or if they transferred the funds somewhere else? The representative was polite but firm. I can only see your outgoing transactions, ma'am. Where the recipient moved the funds after receiving them would require either their permission or a subpoena. Of course. Is there anything else I can help you with today? No, thank you. I hung up, sat in my car in the Panera parking lot. I'd actually splurged on lunch for the first time in months. $12.50 for a soup and sandwich felt like rebellion now. And I thought about my next move. If I couldn't trace the money through the bank, I needed to find another way. I called Jared Hutchins. He worked in my office, 2 cubicles down from mine. We'd started around the same time, bonded over terrible firm coffee and tax season horror stories. Hey Jared, I need a favor, I said. Can you run a business entity search? North Carolina. Any LLC with Pruitt in the name? Sure. Give me like 20 minutes. What am I looking for? Just anything that comes up. I'll explain later. 22 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Jared. Found one. E. Pruitt, Real Estate Holdings, LLC. Registered April 20th, 2025. Single member, Evan Michael Pruitt. Business purpose, real estate investment. Want the filing docs? April 20th, 2025. That was payment number 6. Right before the house closed in May. My hands started shaking. Send everything, I typed back. Jared emailed me the documents. I pulled into a parking spot near my building and opened them on my phone. Entity name, E. Pruitt, Real Estate Holdings, LLC, registered. April 20th, 2025. Member, Evan Michael Pruitt. Business purpose, real estate investment and property acquisition. Evan had created a legal business entity 1 month before buying his house. Not for marketing, not for consulting, for real estate. I saved the documents to the same folder as everything else. Then I opened a blank spreadsheet on my phone and started building a timeline. November 15th, 2024. Payment number 1, $2,890. December 15th, 2024. Payment number 2, $2,890. January 15th, 2025. Payment number 3, $2,890. February 15th, 2025. Payment number 4, $2,890. March 15th, 2025. Payment number 5, $2,890. April 15th, 2025. Payment number 6, $2,890. Total so far, $17,340. April 20th, 2025. Evan creates E. Pruitt Real Estate Holdings, LLC. May 15th, 2025. Payment number 7, $2,890. Total so far, $20,230. May 18th, 2025. Evan closes on house. Down payment, $40,000. Family gift, June to December 2025. Payments number 8 to 14, $23,120 more. December 15th, 2025. Payment number 14. Total paid, $40,462. The pattern was undeniable. My debt repayment had been funneled to Evan's down payment. Every dollar. I don't remember driving home that day. I don't remember walking into the apartment. But suddenly I was on the living room floor and Vanessa was there and I was surrounded by printed papers. I'd stopped at Staples on the way home, printed everything. All 14 bank statements, the property deed, the LLC registration, the Zillow listing, the timeline, 68 pages total. Kristen, Vanessa said carefully, kneeling next to me. What are you doing? Building a case, I said. My voice was calm, too calm. I could hear it, but I couldn't feel anything except cold clarity. They'd lied to me for 14 months, told me I was paying a debt I owed, told me it was for household expenses, for raising me, for my obligation to the family. And they'd taken that money and given it to Evan for a house, while I cut my gym membership, while I reduced my therapy, while I couldn't afford my own apartment, while I worked myself to exhaustion. They'd stolen my future and handed it to my brother. And Evan? Did Evan know? I thought about the family dinner, his grin, his casual announcement. I've been saving. He had to know. You don't receive a $40,000 down payment and not know where it came from, especially when it came through an LLC he'd created specifically for real estate investment. He knew. All three of them knew. I need to go to Staples, I said, standing up. You just went to Staples. I need a binder. Vanessa drove. I think she was worried I'd crash. I probably would have. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At Staples, I walked straight to the office supply aisle. Black leather 3-ring binder, $32. Sheet protectors, 100 pack, $18. 5-tab dividers, $6. Total, $56. The cashier asked if it was a scrapbook project. Something like that, I said. Back at the apartment, I assembled everything on the kitchen table. Vanessa made tea and watched me work. Tab 1. My payments. 14 bank statements, each in its own sheet protector. Chronological order. Every $2,890 highlighted in yellow. Tab 2. Their lies, screenshots of text messages. Moms, family takes care of family after every payment. The original agreement with debt repayment circled. Dad's email from month 3 when I'd asked if I could pay $2,000 instead. The agreement is $2,890. We expect you to honor it. Tab 3. The real destination Evans LLC registration. The property deed showing the $40,000 family gift. My parents listed as co-signers. The Zillow listing for reference. Tab 4. The Math 1 page. Simple. Devastating. $2,890 times 14 months equals $40,462. Down payment equals $40,000. Difference equals $462. Tab 5. The timeline. The spreadsheet I'd made. Visual proof that my payments aligned perfectly with Evans' LLC creation and house purchase. I closed the binder, ran my hand over the leather cover. It was 9:47 p.m. on January 13th, 2026. In 2 days, I had a housewarming party to attend. Kristen, Vanessa said slowly, what are you going to do with that? I looked at her. I'm going to give it to Evan. At his party. In front of everyone? In front of everyone. She set down her tea. This is nuclear. They stole $40,000 from me. I know, but publicly humiliating them. They humiliated me for 14 months, I said. My voice was still calm, eerily calm. They made me think I owed them my childhood. They made me cut therapy and live with a roommate at 28 and work myself to exhaustion, while they funded his house. What if they deny it? I held up the binder. They can't. It's all here. Bank records, property deeds, their names as co-signers on his mortgage. They can deny it all they want. The documents don't lie. Vanessa was quiet for a long time. Then, "You're going to lose them. Your whole family." "I already lost them," I said. "I just didn't know it yet." She picked up the binder, flipped through tab 4. The math. The simple, undeniable math. "When you detonate this tomorrow," she said, "I'm driving you home after." "Thank you." "And I'm bringing wine. 2 bottles." I smiled for the first time in days. "Make it 3." The next day, January 14th, I went to Target after work, wrapping supplies. I found paper that was silver with a subtle geometric pattern. Elegant. Neutral. Could be for anything. Navy blue satin ribbon. A blank card. At the register, $18.74. I thought about that as I wrapped the binder that night at my kitchen table. I was spending $18 to wrap evidence of $40,000 in theft. The irony wasn't lost on me. I wrapped it with hospital corners. Perfect creases. The bow sat exactly centered. I wrote in the card, "To Evan, for everything you've earned. Love, Kristen." The card went inside. The whole package looked like a coffee table book. Expensive, thoughtful, generous. No one would guess what was inside. I set my phone alarm for 5:30 p.m. the next day. That would give me 30 minutes to drive to Ballantyne and 15 minutes to mentally prepare. Then I went to bed and slept 8 hours straight. The sleep of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. January 15th, 2026. I woke up at 10 a.m. without an alarm, made French press coffee, scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. I sat down at the table and ate slowly, an actual breakfast, not a protein bar in the car. It felt like ceremony. I showered for 22 minutes, blow-dried my hair smooth, did my makeup carefully, full face, foundation, concealer, eyeshadow, mascara, lipstick. From my closet, I pulled out the black sheath dress I'd worn to my job interview 3 years ago, the one that had gotten me hired, paired it with nude heels and pearl earrings. I looked in the mirror. I looked like I was going to a funeral. Perfect. At 2:20 p.m., I had 3 hours and 40 minutes to wait. I tried to read. Couldn't focus. Tried to watch TV. Couldn't sit still. Finally, I just sat on my couch with the wrapped box on my lap and I counted my breaths. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Vanessa texted, "I can still come with you. Moral support." I texted back, "No, I need to do this alone, but thank you." You're terrifying when you're this calm. Good. They should be terrified. At 5:33 p.m., I got in my car. The wrapped box sat in the passenger seat. I didn't look at it. The drive from South End to Ballantyne took 25 minutes. I knew the route. South Boulevard to I-485 to Ballantyne Commons Parkway. Google Maps said 28 minutes, but I knew the shortcuts. Traffic was light for a Wednesday evening. I drove exactly the speed limit. No rush. I had time. The radio stayed off. I drove in silence. At 5:59 p.m., I pulled up to 4832 Redbridge Lane. Corner lot, 2-story brick house. Professional landscaping. The kind of house you see in real estate ads for luxury family living in sought-after Ballantyne. I'd paid for this. I parked 4 houses down. Didn't want to park in the driveway. I wasn't staying long. I sat in my car for 10 seconds. Counted to 10. Slow. Deliberate. Got out. Locked the door. Picked up the wrap box. Walked toward the house. I could hear music inside. Laughter. The warm hum of a party in full swing. 32 people were about to learn the truth. I rang the doorbell. Evan answered, grinning. "Chris, you made it. Come in, come in." He was wearing a button-down shirt and nice jeans. Host mode. Happy. Proud. I stepped inside. The house was beautiful. Hardwood floors gleamed under recessed lighting. The kitchen had granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. Through the sliding glass doors, I could see the backyard, perfectly landscaped, ready for entertaining. Every detail perfect, every dollar mine. Let me give you the tour. Mom appeared at my elbow, already slightly flushed from wine. Kristen, isn't it gorgeous? She walked me through the rooms, narrating like a realtor. 4 bedrooms, can you believe it? And look at this kitchen. Evan picked every detail himself. Granite everywhere. The master bath has this gorgeous soaking tub. And the backyard, perfect for barbecues. I nodded, smiled, said wow in the right places, counted the guests as we walked. Family clustered in the living room: Aunt Rebecca, Uncle Tom, Cousin Jake, and his wife Ashley. I knew them all. Evan's college friends filled the kitchen, 8 guys I vaguely recognized from his Instagram. Some people I didn't know. Neighbors, maybe. My parents' friends from their book club. I counted 32 total. Perfect. Did you bring a gift? Mom asked, eyeing the wrapped box. Of course, I said. Oh, how lovely. She touched the ribbon. Evan will open everything after we eat, around 7:15. I checked my watch. 6:08 p.m. Perfect, I said. I'll wait. The next hour and 7 minutes were the longest of my life. I ate a little. Chicken nuggets and fruit from the Chick-fil-A catering trays. I recognized the containers. About $400 worth of food. I smiled. I complimented the house. I listened to Evan tell his college friends about the journey to home ownership. Man, it was tough, he said, gesturing with a beer. I had to be so disciplined, cut back on everything. No eating out, no trips, just saving every single dollar from my freelance work. There were months I barely made rent, but I kept my eye on the goal. And now, here we are. American dream, baby. I counted his lies. 12 in 55 minutes. I counted Mom saying Evan worked so hard, 6 times. I counted Dad saying proud of my son, 4 times. I counted how many people asked me how I was doing. 1. Aunt Rebecca said, "How's work, honey?" I said, "Good, thanks." At 7:12 p.m., Evan clapped his hands. All right, everyone, gift time. Let's do this. People gathered, formed a semicircle around the couch in the living room. Evan sat down. The gift table was next to him. 8 wrapped presents. I stood near the back, held my wrapped box. It was heavier than I remembered. Evan opened the first gift. Towels from Aunt Rebecca. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Second gift. Wine set from a college friend. Awesome, man. Third, fourth, fifth. $100 Visa gift card from the neighbors. A picture frame. A cutting board set. Seventh gift. Wall art from one of Dad's golf buddies. Eighth gift. Mine. Ooh, this one's heavy, Evan said, lifting it. Thanks, Chris. I didn't say anything, just watched. He tore the silver paper. The geometric pattern ripped away. Black leather appeared, a 3-ring binder. He looked confused for a second, then opened it. Tab 1. My payments. I watched his face change. The smile froze. Color drained. He flipped to tab 2. Their lies. His hands started shaking. From across the room, Mom stood up. She was by the kitchen island, wineglass in hand. But she was staring at the binder. She knew. Instantly, she knew what it was. Evan turned to tab 3. The real destination. His mortgage deed. Evan, what is that? Dad's voice cut through the party chatter. Mom was moving, fast, across the living room toward Evan. Evan flipped to tab 4. The math. His mouth opened. No sound came out. Mom reached him. Grabbed for the binder. Evan pulled back reflexively. The binder slipped. 68 pages scattered across the hardwood floor. The sound was sharp, distinct, like slaps. Silence. 32 people staring. Mom on her knees. trying to gather the papers with shaking hands. Dad frozen by the kitchen island, wine glass halfway to his lips. Evan holding the empty binder, staring at nothing. 4.8 seconds of complete silence. Then Cousin Jake bent down, picked up a page. Tab 4. The math. He read out loud, automatic, not thinking. $2,890 times 14 equals $40,462. Down payment equals $40,000. He looked up at me. What the hell is this? I took a breath. This was it. That's 14 months of bank statements, I said. My voice was calm, clear, carried across the silent room. Every payment I made to my parents, $2,890 on the 15th of every month. They told me it was debt repayment, for raising me, for my childhood, for college. They said I owed them $104,040 total, and after 3 years, my debt would be cleared. I could see people processing, confused looks, glances between each other. I believed them. I continued. I cut my gym membership. I reduced my therapy to once a month. I couldn't afford to move out of my one-bedroom apartment with my roommate. I couldn't save for my own down payment. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was honoring my family obligations. Mom was still on the floor, not looking up. But that money, every single dollar, didn't go to household expenses. It went to an LLC, Evans LLC. I gestured to one of the scattered pages. E. Pruitt Real Estate Holdings, registered April 20th, 2025, and it became a family gift for his down payment. I picked up the property deed from the floor, held it up. Down payment, $40,000. Source, family gift. Co-signers, Daniel and Catherine Pruitt. I looked at Evan. He still wasn't meeting my eyes. $40,462. I paid for this house, while Evan paid nothing. While they told me he was struggling and building his business. While they told me to be patient and responsible. I set the page down gently. So congratulations, Evan. I'm so glad my 14 months of sacrifice could fund your American dream. The silence stretched, taut, brittle. Then Aunt Rebecca's voice, quiet. Catherine, is this true? Mom didn't answer. Dad set down his wine glass. The clink was loud in the quiet. Kristen, you're causing a scene. This is more complicated than... No, Dad, I said. It's very simple. You told me I owed you money. I paid you. You gave it to Evan. You lied about where it went. For 14 months. That's called theft. We were helping Evan get established. Dad's voice rose. You're capable. You're successful. I needed my money, I said. My voice didn't rise, didn't need to. For my future. But you decided his future mattered more than mine. Uncle Tom. Kristen, wait. I picked up my purse. I waited 14 months. I'm done waiting. Jake was staring at Evan. Did you know? Evan's voice was barely audible. Mom and Dad said they were handling it. Did you know where her money was going? Silence. Jesus Christ, Jake said. You knew. I heard a neighbor woman whisper to her husband, loud enough to carry. They stole from their own daughter? I walked toward the door. 18 steps from the living room to the front entrance. Every person I passed was staring. Mom was crying now. Dad was trying to help her up. Evan was still on the couch, empty binder in his lap, surrounded by scattered evidence. I reached the door, opened it, turned back. One last look. 32 witnesses, 32 people who now knew the truth. I stepped outside, closed the door softly behind me. Didn't slam it. Slamming would be losing control. The cold air hit my face. 52 degrees. Clear sky. I could see stars. I walked to my car. Got in. Turned the key. The engine started. I exhaled. 14 months of silence. 11 minutes of truth. I drove away from the house my money bought. Didn't look in the rearview mirror. Not once. My phone started ringing at 7:35 p.m. Mom. I didn't answer. It rang again, and again, and again. By 8 p.m., I had 12 missed calls. By 11 p.m., 37. Text messages flooded in. Dad, we need to talk about this like adults. You're taking things out of context. Mom, Kristen, pick up the phone. You embarrassed us in front of our entire family. That was cruel and unnecessary. Evan, Chris, look, I didn't know how to tell you. Mom and Dad said they were handling it. Can we talk? Please? I didn't respond to any of them. Vanessa was waiting at the apartment with 2 bottles of wine and Thai takeout. How did it go? She asked. I sat on the couch, took the wine glass she offered. They know, I said. My phone buzzed again. Another call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail. Vanessa turned off my phone for me. We ate pad thai and drank wine and didn't talk about it. At midnight, my phone was still off, but Vanessa's rang. It's a number I don't know, she said. Don't answer it. She answered it. Hello? Yes, she's here. I don't think she wants to. Okay, hold on. She covered the phone. It's your Aunt Rebecca. I took the phone. Kristen? Rebecca's voice was careful, gentle. Honey, is everything in that binder true? Every word, I said. Then I'm on your side. Tom and I both are. Something in my chest loosened. I left 20 minutes after you did, Rebecca continued. Catherine tried to gather all the papers and say you misunderstood. I asked her to show me one receipt proving that money went to house expenses. She couldn't, because it didn't. I know. Tom and I are furious, Kristen. This is financial abuse. Do you have copies of all that evidence? Yes. Everything. Good. Keep it. And Kristen? You did the right thing. Catherine is my sister, but what she did to you is unforgivable. I started crying. First tears since discovering the truth. Thank you, I whispered. Tom says we'll testify if you need witnesses. We talked for 10 more minutes. She told me what happened after I left. Mom couldn't stop crying. Dad kept trying to explain. Evan just sat there. Half the guests left immediately. The others stood around awkwardly until someone suggested they should go. The party was over by 8 p.m. When I hung up, Vanessa hugged me. You're not crazy, she said. You're not wrong, and you're not alone. The next morning, I got a text from cousin Jake. I confronted Evan after you left, asked him point blank, "Did you know where Kristen's money was going?" He said, and I quote, "Mom and Dad said they'd take care of the family contribution arrangement." I said, "That wasn't a contribution. That was her money being funneled to your down payment." He said, "I didn't know she didn't know." My stomach turned. He knew. He'd known I didn't know. And he'd let it happen for 14 months. Jake's next text. Ashley and I unfriended him on everything. We're not attending any family events if he's there. Just wanted you to know you have us. I screenshot the conversation, added it to my evidence folder, not planning to sue Evan, but documenting everything for my own validation. My phone was back on now. The voicemails kept coming. On January 16th, at 2:38 p.m., I listened to Mom's 12th voicemail. Her voice was tight, defensive. Kristen, you're being dramatic and childish. We were helping your brother get on his feet. You're 28. You have a stable career. You're established. Evan was struggling with his freelance business. He needed support. That's what family does. We help each other. You'll understand when you're a parent someday. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for the ones who need it most. You didn't need that money. You were fine. Evan needed a chance. And making a scene like that in front of 30 people? Humiliating your own family? That's unforgivable, Kristen. People are asking questions, gossiping. You've damaged our reputation. Just call me back so we can fix this before it gets any worse. We can work this out like adults if you'd just stop being so stubborn. I played it for Vanessa. She called you dramatic? Vanessa said slowly. You paid $40,000. They lied for 14 months. And you're dramatic. She said I'd understand when I'm a parent. My voice was shaking. Not with sadness, with rage. I understand now, Vanessa. I understand that parents who love you don't steal from you. They don't choose one child's dream over the other child's future. And she's worried about her reputation. Not about what they did to me, about what people will think. I deleted the voicemail, opened Google, typed, North Carolina Civil Court Unjust Enrichment How to File. Mom wanted to fix this? I'd fix it. Legally. Permanently. On January 17th, I met with Isaac Bennett, Vanessa's uncle, family law attorney. His office was on the 12th floor of a building in South Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Charlotte. Very professional. Very expensive looking. This is a free consultation, he said, gesturing to a chair. Vanessa told me a little, but I'd like to hear it from you. I handed him the binder. He read for 9 minutes, didn't say a word, just flipped through tabs, studying bank statements, property records, the timeline. Finally, he looked up. This is textbook unjust enrichment, he said. You'll win. Win what? A civil suit. North Carolina law allows claims for unjust enrichment when someone benefits unfairly at another's expense. Your parents took your money under false pretenses and gave it to your brother. That's the definition. He explained the process. District court, not small claims. The amount was too high. A motion for summary judgment, asking the judge to rule without a full trial because the facts were undisputed. With evidence this strong, I've seen cases go from filing to judgment in 30 to 45 days, he said. Will they have to pay me back? If you win, and you will, the court orders payment within 30 days. They can garnish wages, put liens on property. Your parents own their home outright, correct? Yes. Then they can pay. He asked me one question at the end. Are you prepared to never speak to your parents again? Because once you file this, there's no going back. I didn't hesitate. I already don't speak to them. This just makes it official. I filed on January 19th, 2026. Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. Mecklenburg County Courthouse, 832 East 4th Street. Classical architecture, marble floors, the weight of justice in the air. The clerk was efficient. Middle-aged woman, kind eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. Case type? Civil complaint, unjust enrichment. Defendants? Daniel Lawrence Pruitt and Catherine Ann Pruitt. Amount? $40,462 principal plus $1,850 in court costs and filing fees. She processed the paperwork. I attached copies of my evidence. The binder, reproduced 3 times, one for the court, one for the defendants, one for my records. Case number 26-CVD-01847. The defendants will be served within 5 business days, she said. Hearing date will be set within 30 to 45 days depending on the judge's calendar. Do you expect them to contest? I expect them to lie, I said. But I have documentation. She smiled faintly. Then you'll be fine, Ms. Pruitt. I wore my Navy suit. The same one from my job interview. Professional armor. I walked out of that courthouse feeling nothing. Not triumphant, not excited, just necessary. This needed to happen. 6 days later, Dad called from an unknown number. I answered, thinking it was a delivery. We'll give you $15,000 if you drop the lawsuit. I recognized his voice immediately. I want $40,462, I said. See you in court. I hung up. Texted Isaac. They offered $15,000 to settle. Should I consider? His response came in 2 minutes. Absolutely not. You have them dead to rights. They're panicking. $15,000 is admission they know they'll lose. Hold firm. I typed back. Already said no. The hearing was set for February 26th, 2026. 10 a.m. Courtroom 5C. Judge Patricia Hendricks presiding. I walked in at 9:50. The courtroom was small, wood-paneled, formal. 12 people in the gallery. Vanessa, Aunt Rebecca, Uncle Tom, Cousin Jake, some strangers, and 6 empty seats. My parents were already there, sitting together on the defendant's side. Mom's eyes were red. Dad's jaw was set. Evan wasn't there, not a defendant, not even there to support them. I sat alone at the plaintiff table, hands folded. Calm. At 10 a.m., the bailiff called the court to order. Judge Hendricks was in her 50s, sharp eyes, no nonsense expression. She'd read the case file, I could tell. At 10:04, I gave my opening statement. Your Honor, for 14 months, I paid my parents $2,890 per month, total $40,462, under the belief it was debt repayment for my upbringing. They characterized it as a 3-year plan to clear my obligation. I have bank records, text messages, and their own words confirming this. During those same 14 months, my money was funneled to my brother's down payment for a $425,000 house purchase. I have property records showing a $40,000 family gift that matches my payments within $462. I never consented to this. I was deceived about the purpose of my payments. This is unjust enrichment. At 10:18, Dad tried to defend. Your Honor, we asked Kristen to contribute to household expenses. She agreed. How we allocated those funds within the family is our prerogative as parents. Judge Hendricks looked at him over her glasses. Did you tell your daughter the money would go to her brother's home purchase? No, but did she live in your household during these 14 months? Mom spoke up. No, but she benefited from our support over the years. How did she benefit during these specific 14 months? Silence. The judge looked at me. Ms. Pruitt, you work as an accountant? Yes, Your Honor, staff accountant, 3 years. So you understand numbers? Yes, ma'am, these numbers don't lie. She reviewed the evidence. Tab 4. The bank statements, the property deed, the timeline. At 10:48, she set down the papers. This court finds the evidence overwhelming. The defendants solicited funds from the plaintiff under the representation that payment was for household expenses and familial debt repayment. In reality, those funds were transferred to a third party for real estate acquisition. The plaintiff relied on the defendant's representations to her detriment. The defendants were unjustly enriched, or facilitated unjust enrichment of a third party, at the plaintiff's expense. This is textbook unjust enrichment under North Carolina law. Judgment for plaintiff, $40,462 in restitution, plus $1,850 in court costs. Total, $42,312. Payment due within 30 days. The gavel fell. 10:51 a.m., 51 minutes from start to judgment. I stood. My parents stayed seated. Dad reached toward me. Kristen, please. I walked past him, through the courtroom doors, into the marble hallway. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows. Justice wasn't healing, but it was validation. The law agreed. They'd stolen from me. March 20th, 2026. Certified mail arrived at my apartment. A check. From Daniel and Catherine Pruitt joint account. $42,312. I held it for 30 seconds. Looked at the amount. The signatures. Proof. Justice. Restitution. Then I drove to Wells Fargo and deposited it. The teller processed it silently. Professional. If she recognized the amount was significant, she didn't show it. Deposit receipt? Yes, please. She handed it to me. Date: March 20th, 2026, 11:15 a.m. Amount: $42,312. New balance: $45,512.23. I sat in my car and stared at my phone screen. For the first time in 16 months, I could afford my own future. I cried, not from sadness, from release. The weight of $2,890 monthly payments gone. My money was mine again. The next 4 days were a blur of apartment hunting. Not, can I afford this? Anymore. Do I want this? Different question, different power. March 21st, the Oxford in Dilworth. Too small. March 22nd, Sky House South. Too expensive still. March 24th, Park Avenue Lofts. Unit 412. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 820 square feet. Balcony with park view. Hardwood floors throughout. $1,550 a month. Perfect. The realtor was the same woman from June 2025. The failed attempt. She remembered me. I'm so glad your situation improved, she said brightly. I didn't explain how. I signed the lease at 4:30 p.m. First month, last month, security deposit, $4,650. Move-in date, April 15th, 2026. My savings after the deposit, $40,862.23. Welcome home, Ms. Pruitt, the realtor said. I smiled. Thank you. First time home meant something that was only mine, not shared, not owed, not paid for with stolen money, just mine. On March 25th, I went back to therapy. Dr. Lauren Winters, weekly sessions. I could afford it now. You haven't spoken to your parents in 69 days, she said. How does that feel? Peaceful, I said. I thought I'd feel guilty. I don't. And your brother? He made his choice. He chose $40,000 over his sister. I choose myself now. Some people might say you should forgive them. Move on. I looked at her steadily. I don't forgive people who aren't sorry. They're not sorry they did it. They're sorry they got caught. There's a difference. What about the family you're losing? I already lost them. I just didn't know it until January 15th. The people who love you don't steal from you, Dr. Winters. They don't gaslight you. They don't make you pay for your own childhood. She nodded, made a note. For next week, I want you to write a letter to your parents. You don't have to send it. Just write it. Process everything you need to say. March 26th, 8:45 p.m. I sat at my kitchen table with a pen and paper. Vanessa was watching TV in the living room, giving me space. I wrote, Dear Mom and Dad, for 28 years I believed family meant unconditional love. You taught me it meant conditional transactions. You told me I owed you $104,040 for raising me. As if love is a loan, as if childhood is debt. I paid you $40,462 before I learned the truth. That money didn't go to your house. It went to Evan's. You lied to me for 14 months. Every text, every thank you, sweetheart, every heart emoji. Lies. I don't know if you feel guilty. I don't know if you think you were justified. I don't know if you tell yourselves you were helping Evan or teaching me responsibility. I don't know, because I don't care anymore. I got my money back. The court agreed you stole from me. And I'm moving into my own apartment next month. But I didn't write this letter for closure. I wrote it to remind myself, I am not responsible for your choices. I am not obligated to fund your favorites. I am not required to forgive people who aren't sorry. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who doesn't steal from you. Goodbye. Kristen. I read it out loud to Vanessa. Then we burned it in the kitchen sink, watched the pages curl and blacken and turn to ash. Symbolic. The words existed. The truth was spoken, now released. Vanessa held the lighter. I watched the flames. How do you feel? She asked after. Free, I said. I don't need them to read it. I needed to say it. You're going to be okay. I already am. March 28th, 2026. 7:15 a.m. Exactly 73 days after the party. Exactly 16 months after the first payment. I sat on Vanessa's apartment balcony. Last week here before the move. French press coffee. Journal. Sunrise. Birds singing. I wrote, 73 days since the party. 16 months since the first payment. I have $40,862 in savings. I have an apartment lease signed. I have therapy every week. I have boundaries made of titanium. And I have zero contact with my parents or Evan. People ask if I regret it, exposing them, suing them, destroying the family. I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already broken. For 14 months, they took $2,890 from me, told me I owed them my childhood, made me believe I was paying a debt. I cut my gym, my therapy, my chance at my own place. I worked 50-hour weeks while Evan posted Instagram stories from ski trips, and every month, my money went to his down payment. While they told me he was struggling, while they praised him for working hard, the court agreed it was theft. Judge Hendricks used the words textbook unjust enrichment, but the money isn't the point anymore. The point is, I learned what I'm worth and what I'm not willing to tolerate. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who doesn't steal from you, who doesn't gaslight you, who doesn't make you pay for their love. Vanessa is family. Rebecca is family. Jake is family. My parents? They're strangers who share my DNA. And Evan? He's the cautionary tale I'll tell about golden children and scapegoats. Mom called yesterday. Unknown number. I answered accidentally. She cried. Said I'm tearing the family apart. Said I'll regret this someday. I won't. I hung up, blocked the number, and made myself French press coffee. This is what healing looks like. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, just me, my money, and my future. Finally mine. I closed the journal. My phone buzzed. Text from Vanessa, already at work. Coffee after your shift? I smiled. Typed back. Yes. My treat. First time in 16 months I could afford to treat someone. Because my money was mine. Finally. If this story hit you in your chest, I need you to hear this. If you're the responsible one, the one who pays while others play, the one who sacrifices while others take, the one who's told family takes care of family while you're the only one taking care. Listen to me. Your money is your future. Never let anyone, not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone, guilt you into funding theirs. They told me I owed them $104,000 for raising me. They told me it was my obligation, my debt, my responsibility. I paid $40,462 before I learned the truth. That money went to my brother's house. While I couldn't afford my own apartment, while I cut therapy, while I worked myself to exhaustion thinking I was honoring my family, I was funding their favoritism. The court gave me my money back. But what I really got back was my power, my voice, my understanding that I don't owe anyone my future just because they're family. Boundaries aren't cruel, they're survival. And real family? Real family doesn't steal from you. I paid $40,462 to learn that lesson. You don't have to. Keep your receipts. Trust your gut. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small for protecting yourself. You deserve the life you're working for. Don't let them take it. Have you ever been the one funding someone else's dream while yours got put on hold? Drop a comment if this story resonated with you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button because there are more out there. More people who need to hear they're not alone. More people who deserve to know their worth. Thank you for listening to mine.